Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, wherever you are watching us from. I am your regular host for the Connect with Comfort show. My name is Comfort Eyitayo. On this program, we aim to add value to people on business enterprises and personal growth. On each show, we try to feature special guests who are subject matter experts that helps us to shed more insight on the topic of the day. We are glad you are able to join us today. Happy Sunday to you all. Today we'll examine the topic that plays a very critical role in the success of any organization or business setup. That is delegation dynamics, trust, communication, and results. The topic has distinct three components which we can understand why we consider them critical for our business success. When we talk of delegation, we talk of trust, we talk of communication, and all these are expected to give us a desired result. When we consider today's fast-paced world, effective delegation is not just a management tool, it's a leadership imperative. Successful leaders and managers must understand that no one can do everything alone. So delegation empowers teams, drives efficiency, and ultimately lead to achievement of collective goals. Delegation is also much more than just assigning tasks. It involves a careful balance of trust, clear communication, and a shared vision of results. When done right, it unlocks the potential of the entire team. However, poor delegation can lead to confusion, missed opportunities, and frustration, which will erode the very trust that should be at its foundation. So today, together, we hope we will learn how to create an environment where delegation not only achieves goals, but also fosters growth and innovation. Once again, I want to thank you all for joining us. Let's go into the dynamics of delegation after this time out. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Being relevant in your field of occupation is proof that you are properly educated. When my parents and I were thinking about my university education, Bowen University Iwo was our first choice. Bowen University helps you to get the most of whatever course you're studying and also educates you on how to excel in a competitive labor market. From the day I arrived here, I knew when I would graduate, and my mind has been positively transformed since then, thanks to my able lecturers. My name is Salome. I am a medical student, a sanctuary keeper, and a violinist at Bowen University. To the medical world, remember my name.
Bowen University, for excellence and godliness.
You are welcome back Today we have a guest. Her name is Grace Amoka. She is a seasoned performance coach and master trainer with over a decade of experience helping individuals and organizations to achieve peak productivity. Known for her expertise in leadership development, Grace has worked with top executives and business leaders, guiding them in optimizing team dynamics through effective delegation and strategic communication. Our approach is rooted in empowering leaders to build trust, inspire accountability, and foster high performance cultures. She is passionate about transformative leadership. She is also committed to helping leaders unlock the potential in their teams and drive measurable results. At this point, I must apologize on behalf of the show and our guest. Before the show started, she was on. We were communicating, but the network really wreaked havoc. She has tried to connect back again about 2 times now, but I learned from the media crew that she's out yet again. So we are still going to go on with the show, and I invite as many of you that may want to contribute either through your questions or just contribution to the show. The show will still have to go on. That's uh, what we intend to do. But if she's able to join back, then we will feature her. Thank you very much for your understanding. So we'll start the show by looking at delegation. Why do we consider it as a crucial aspect of effective leadership? Reason being, it allows, when you're able to delegate, it allows leaders more time to focus on strategic tasks while empowering their teams to develop skills and take ownership of specific responsibilities. From the intro, it's not possible to do it all, and you achieve more if you work in a team because everybody contributes. So that's why it is desirable to get to delegate as much as possible. That may make us look at delegation vis-a-vis micro management. Effective delegation fosters trust and growth, while micromanagement stifles innovation and hampers team development. The reason is very simple. When you delegate, you are more or less putting the person that you have delegated assignment or task to be in charge and trusting the person to take control of that aspect of the task. Okay, our guest is back. I'm hoping that the network will allow us to really get the benefits of our wealth of experience. You are back, Grace. I've introduced you in your absence, but we all understand that this is part of the thing we have to contend with this technological issue. You are welcome, and we want to appreciate you for willing to share your wealth of experience with us today. You're welcome to Connect with Comfort Show.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you so much for having me. It's good to be here.
Thank you. So quickly, I was just telling our audience, but I'll just go straight to the question: why is delegation such a critical skill for leaders and managers?
Thank you very much for that question. When I was thinking about the topic today, I felt like I was in the perfect position to have this conversation because I used to be one of those leaders that was afraid to delegate. You know how you feel like I'm the only one that
Lose
can do
control.
this.
Yes.
Yes, it's scary sometimes and it involves a lot of risks, but that's what leadership is about.
Yeah.
Leadership is not it's not an it's not a walk in the park because there are
Yes.
things that are out of your control. But then an effective leader is able to, look out for the strengths of the members of their team, and then, like we're saying, delegate effectively. And why is this important? It's important because if you don't delegate, you will burn out.
Yes.
There's a quote by Albert Einstein that I really like. He says that everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will spend its life thinking it's stupid. In essence, every member of the team that you're going to be working with as a leader has their strengths, and you, as well as the team leader, part of the strengths you're supposed to have is to look out for the strengths of your team members and then assign to them the tasks that are suited to them. So delegation is a skill that is required in leadership. So you don't burn out as a leader. I mean, you have 24 hours in a day, you have limited time, limited resources. If you want to make the most out of your leadership journey, delegation is not an option, it's a must. If not, you will just end up working yourself to the ground and not achieving as much as you should. So delegation is about identifying the genius capability in the members of your team and then assigning same to them. And I mean, very, very easy. You'll be able to achieve so much more as a team if you're able to
Very
delegate
true.
effectively.
Very true. Thank you very much for that. And what would you consider to be common barriers to effective delegation that leaders face, and how can they overcome?
I think in very, simple terms, I would say it's something called a Superman. I like to call it a Superman complex, where you feel like you're the hero in the story and you want to fix everything. There's also a part of imposter syndrome that shows up as perfectionism in the leader that doesn't let them delegate effectively. So, how can you overcome that striving for perfectionism? It's to understand that adopting a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset is important on this journey. To know that you're not striving for perfection. I like another quote that says it's okay to be a work in progress and a masterpiece at the same time. So in our leadership journey, that's how we're supposed to see the members of our teams. There's always going to be work to be done. So letting go of that, oh, things have to be perfect, because perfection is a myth. It's a journey and not a destination. So I feel like if leaders are able to understand that growth mindset, that people can learn, people can grow, and every member of your team is supposed to be better when they're leaving you than when they came in the first place. So there's work to be done as a leader to make sure that you build the members of your team to the point where you're able to delegate responsibilities to them. And this requires trust. And as we know, trust is built over time. So time is a factor that we need to pay attention to. It requires time for you to be able to trust your team members and for them to trust you as well, because leadership is a two-way street.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Perfectionism. I want everything to be perfect. So there's no opportunity for members of your team to grow.
Thank you.
Leadership, like always say, is a there's a risk involved in leadership, and things will not be as perfect as we sometimes want them to be.
Very true. Thank you very much. The key word is that perfection is a myth. We should not be fixated on getting everything right. After all, we remain human beings with our flaws and imperfections. So we should allow room for growth. So thank you
Absolutely.
very much for that. And in what way does successful delegation impact long-term results, such as team development and organizational growth?
Okay. So, and I want us to think about this as leaders. If anytime you're not fully present with your team, work cannot get done, then there's a problem with your leadership. So if and because we're finite beings, you may get sick, you may not just be available every time. And if anytime you're not available, the your team members drop the ball and work isn't done as well as it should be, then there's a failure in leadership. So the successful delegation, the impact of that is you're 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 able to create future leaders. It's beyond just getting the job done. It's that a successful leader is able to pour themselves out into other people such that they create other leaders. That's a mark of a true leader. That's I'm a leader, and every other person that works with me, they are also leaders in their own capacities. So the long-term result of successful delegation is that you're able to create other leaders. You're able to get the job done whether you're there or not. And that requires creating systems and structures around the work that you and your team does. So I mean it's a lot of work to be able to get to this point. And many times we don't want to put in that work. That's why we take the easier way out to just try to do everything ourselves, but it still doesn't work. So long-term impact is you're able to raise other leaders such that I mean, imagine that as excellent as you think you are as a leader, everybody on your team is able to work at that same level and even higher because you've helped them identify their areas of genius. So it's like one of my coaches used to say, it's like having X-Men on a team. Everybody is bringing in their superpowers and you're able to achieve so much more together than you would have alone.
Okay, network again. Grace, can you hear me? I think that question is well answered before the network struck. Grace, can you hear me? Wow. Grace, okay, we move on. So we've been told that we need to we need to delegate, and the reason for delegation. In the journey, we need to look also at the importance of trust versus control. Because when our guest was talking about part of the reason why some people may not want to delegate, if there's no sufficient trust or fear of losing control, that could hinder our ability to delegate. But we must be able to strike the balance between trust and control. Too much control can lead to resentment and disengagement, while too much trust also, without structure, can result in poor performance. This is very important for us to know because we have team members in our business. So we necessarily have to build a trust-based delegation. As leaders, we must invest time in getting to know our team member strengths, like our guest said, so that you'll be able to determine the type of task to allocate to them. We must know their strengths and weaknesses for effective delegation. This is important, even like we say in employment, you match the right peg to the right hole. If you give somebody that is a task that is beyond his ability, that is already a recipe for failure. So we must be able as leaders to know the strengths and weaknesses of our team members or employee, and then the extent of what they can handle, maybe due to their background, experience, and educational background. You know what to delegate to them. That's very important. Then for delegation, the importance of clear communication cannot be overemphasized, because you that you are delegating, you may know what you want to talk about or delegate the task, but if it's not well explained, that can also limit the success rate. Not necessarily because the person is not capable of doing the task, but perhaps there's a misconception, the misunderstanding from lack of clear uh, communication. So it's expected for us to state clearly our objectives, the timelines for when we expect tasks to be performed, and the desired outcome. These are essential to avoid misunderstanding and also to ensure accountability, because there cannot be effective delegation. There's no accountability. If I give you a job to do, you must be able to account for what you have done and all that. So that is very important. Then the feedback loops. Regularly constructive feedback helps to ensure alignment with goals. Sometimes we give a task and we just said, okay, because I trust the person, you let go, and I don't want to intervene or micromanage or whatever you may want to call it. And the person may have gone too far in the wrong direction. If you do not have that feedback loop, the person may go too far. If somebody is going in the wrong direction or non-alignment with the vision or objective, and you are able to have regular feedback, you'll be able to identify this quickly and then possibly bring the person right back on track in good time for you to make corrections of the steps they have taken wrong without too much damage. So it's important to support team development to achieve this. And listening also is very important as part of communication. It's not just talking, it's not just dishing out the instruction. We must be ready to listen. The ability to listen to team members is very, very key, because sometimes when you are just talking, you do not get to know how they have received the instruction, and even if they may even have a better um, suggestions to a particular course of action. So it will encourage, if you listen to team members, it will encourage them to ask questions. It will help them also to seek clarification, because they know you have a listening ear. Some people within their um, team members, if they know that you do not listen, they just get themselves shut into their cocoon and they will not ask questions. And that way it will not help um, the task at hand. So they will be able to, if you listen, they'll be able to share concern. Active listening strengthens relationship and ensure mutual understanding. Everybody will be on the same page, as we say. Then we've talked about skills and capacity. When you are delegating, you should be strategic. Assign tasks based on team members' current abilities, while also considering opportunity for growth. You may have recognized opportunity in your team members to be able to do more than they are doing currently. Nothing is wrong in exploring that, but be mindful that you do not overwhelm them and then discourage them, because by the time they start making errors, that can be a source of discouragement. But if you give them opportunity to grow, to push the frontier of their barrier further, it will encourage competence through development and ability to do more challenging tasks. Will help to foster professional growth as well as enhance problem solving ability. Like I said, you also need to avoid overload. Even though it may be within the capacity of the team member, and the team member may be willing, don't like they say, a willingness. You do not overdrive the willingness. Overload can actually result into burnout. So the burnout is not only for leaders alone, it can apply to members of the team. So it can result to burnout, and it will just, it can also result to lost resources, because you would have committed resources that ordinarily will give you success, but because of the other side of what you aim to have, the outcome may be negative. So we need to also be result oriented. Result, being result oriented means we have to have a desired outcome for the delegation. So, and we have to be able to measure, we have to be able to measure the success at the end of the day. So both ways, we need to evaluate the outcome of the delegated task and the processes to be followed. Where objectives are met, the team learn from experience, and other people in the team also will learn from experience. One other good thing in this delegation journey is that we must be ready to celebrate small wins, and don't wait until somebody has achieved massively that you now say, oh, well done, or give them a pat in the back. Small wins needs to be celebrated, and encourage people to learn from failure. Failure also has some benefits. It may sound ironic, but there's benefit. It's only when you do not learn from your failure that is a total loss. So we must recognize accomplishments on one hand, analyze any setback that we come against constructively to continuously improve delegation practices. Then the continuous improvement for our team member, means we continue to seek feedback to ensure continuous improvement in team dynamics and results. For to have sustainable growth, because that is part of the reason why we are doing this. We are not just building our business, we want the business to grow. When trust, communication, and alignment to have vision and mission is done, then the result will be something that is pleasing. So we need to make sure that we can scale more efficiently. We can we can scale more efficiently and cultivate high performing teams amongst our members. There's a question that, how do you know what to delegate and what not to delegate? Part of this has been addressed, that, for instance, if what you are to delegate to a particular person is beyond that person's capability or understanding, then the best thing you do not delegate, because you already know the results from the beginning. So you as a leader must also be able to determine what to delegate and what not to delegate. And we must not exercise fear of losing control. And that's why we're stressing the issue of trust. If you have been able to build trust in your team members, then the issue of loss of control that sometimes give us business owners sleepless nights will not be there. And like our guest said earlier on in the show, that if you look at the fear of losing control, you will probably not delegate at all. And it's not possible, everybody has only 24 hours in a day. It's not possible for you to be able to do everything unless you have decided to limit yourself. And that will not be in the path for growth. So if you want to grow, you must necessarily need to delegate. So that address the question of how do you overcome fear of losing control. Then how does the delegation process differ from dealing with experienced versus inexperienced team? That is also to do with ability, matching ability, knowing the capability of members of your team. You must be able to invest time to study members of your team. You will know those that are just working to rule. There are many like that that just work to rule. I'm just in this office to work 8 to 5, and they are not ready to go the extra mile. So you will know them, and then you know that any important task may not be handled very well by them. So it's for you to decide how best to delegate to such people and what to delegate to such people. We have another question that says, what role does transparency play in communication during delegation? The answer is very simple. It plays a very, very crucial role. If you are transparent, people will understand you and you'll be able to carry your team members along because they will be able to see things clearly. The element of doubt will be limited, if not completely erased. And that's also there's team bonding. If we have transparency in communication during um, delegation, because then team members will not be going, oh, maybe this is what this person is leading to, or try to second guess the instruction that may not be very clear to them, or maybe this is a setup or something like that. So when we have transparency, then communication becomes clearer, it becomes more effective. The other question says, how do you handle situations where delegated tasks are not completed satisfactorily? Like we said, you can classify this as a failure because anything that is short of the expected outcome, you may consider it as failure, but it may not necessarily be. You need to get feedback why this is so. Are there unsurmountable challenges that was not envisaged when the task was assigned, and things like that? You need to analyze the root cause and not just react that, oh, the task given to Mr. A was not well executed and things like that. We need to understand and then know how to address what we have been able to discover as the root cause. Hopefully, it will be something that can be corrected if it is not a deliberate action. And that also speaks to understanding of our team members. One important one is, how can leaders delegate effectively in remote or hybrid work environment? This has become a challenge to many businesses that want to embrace technology, the virtue of technology in terms of maybe working remotely, doing hybrid and working from home. And this is where the element of trust plays a very, very vital role. Because if you have not been able to build your team to such a state that you can trust them, then you can never tell that the hours they stay at home or off work is actually spent for the benefit of the business. Like some people believe that some women, if they say they are working from home, they will spend half of the day going to the market or doing chores and things like that. It's a matter of trust and the character of the people involved, the sense of responsibility that has been cultivated in them. All this will have a lot to do with what you are able to get as outcome of delegation in an hybrid work environment. We have a question: what are the potential consequences of ineffective delegation on organization results and employee morale, and how can they be avoided? Well, it's very simple. If the delegation is ineffective, the results will be affected. You will not achieve maximum results, and it will affect the growth of the organization or the business. Likewise, it may also affect the morale of the employee, because by the time it is analyzed that the result or the expected outcome was not achieved, the employee may also be, the morale of the employee may be affected. So we need to make sure that all the various ingredients that we've talked about in terms of effective delegation is observed. Clear communication, element of trust, knowing the task to assign, aligning tasks to the capability of the team member that is being assigned work. So all these are key factors. Now, how can a leader recover trust after a failed delegation attempt, and how should they address the situation with the team? Well, this also comes back to analyzing the root cause of that failed delegation. What led to it? Is it lack of communication? Is it lack of effective communication, or lack of transparency, or even the element of trust that is perhaps not evident in from the leader to the employee and all that? So we must first look at that. By the time we identify what the root cause is, we can address it by further educating our team member. And that's where the part of training and retraining comes in and becomes very useful. We must learn to carry our team members along. They must have their buy-in in whatever we are doing. And when you have sessions, strategy session, and in this kind of situation, you can even go on retreat to re-examine the vision of the organization and the mission that is already set before the team members, to see if it is in alignment, and the desire or the expectation of the other team members are in alignment with that vision. So all this needs to be done for us to be sure that we manage a leader recover from the trust after a failed delegation. Because if somebody should go away with the mindset that, oh, I'm not well trusted and things like that, that could be an issue for the team members and the progress of the company. We also must allow room for initiative, that is empowering teams through autonomy. We must allow for initiative. Once tasks are delegated or given to team members, the freedom to approach problems in their own way, bringing their experiences to bear. There are many ways that a problem or a task can be achieved. If you give them the free hand, it fosters creativity and they own the process. When you own the process of a thing, you do not want it to fail or you do not want to fail at it. It's only if you see it, oh, it's their work. But if you see it as our work, definitely you are going to put in more effort to ensure that the task is well executed and the overall outcome or expected outcome is achieved. So this is very important. We look at the autonomy that we are talking about vis-a-vis accountability. Delegation is not just about relinquishing responsibility. As leaders, we must ensure that there's accountability. We must create a framework where team members feel responsible for delivering results. And that is how we can even measure the success of what we have achieved as a team. Then, when we evaluate both the outcome of the delegated task and the process followed, we will know if our objectives have been met or not. Then the team will also have experience, learning experience from what they have gone through. We must aim to continuously improve our team member, and that can be achieved by regularly assessing the delegation practices that we have adopted, seeking feedback to ensure continuous improvement in team dynamic and results. Delegation, as we've discussed it, should be seen as a driver for organization growth. And that is part of the reason why we are treating it. Our businesses should aim not just to survive, but strive to grow. So when trust, communication, and alignment are and around results because of the delegation are achieved, organization can scale more efficiently and cultivate high performing team. When we delegate as leaders, leaders not only multiply, that is, we create more leaders. It's not just one leader, we create more leaders by delegating more leaders, developing more leaders within the team, and they will also replicate what the initial team has been able to do. So thereby multiplying productivity and also building future leaders through their own team. So I hope we've really gotten the essence. It's a pity that um, our guests dropped out because of the network issue, but the little contribution she was able to make before the network in that contribution was well appreciated. So, to recap, first, delegation is not about handing over tasks, it's about empowering others, cultivating trust, and creating an environment where communication flows openly and clearly. When we delegate with trust, we not only enhance team productivity, but also promote personal growth, both for ourselves and our colleagues. Secondly, effective communication is the cornerstone of successful delegation. Without clear expectations and feedback loops, even the most competent teams can falter. But with transparent, consistent communication, we can bridge such gaps. We can also, through that, foster collaboration and ensure that everyone is aligned towards our common goal. Lastly, when we balance trust rather, with communication, the results speak for themselves, whether it is improved efficiency, innovation, or team morale. The rewards of well executed delegation extend beyond the immediate task. They continue to the long term success of the organization. So, as leaders, our role is not to do everything ourselves, but to empower others to thrive in their roles. By mastering the dynamics of delegation, we can ensure that we not only achieve results but also build teams that are resilient, motivated, and future ready, which is the growth, the essence of the growth that we desire. I would like to appreciate our usual audience. I know there are many that have not gotten their name. They have seen Dr. Aseyin from Abuja joining us, Taiwo Ojo also from Abuja joining us, Tunde Akitunde Akala from Ogun State, Wendy Garuba Ayemi from Lagos. I also saw Pastor Sheyi from London, and many others that have joined us today. I want to appreciate all of you for continuing with us on this journey, and I hope that we've been able to impart knowledge on one or two points that have been raised today on the journey of improving our businesses and also on our growth path. I hope you have all enjoyed today's episode. If so, please remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Comfort Eyitayo. Once you have subscribed, please turn on the notification button, like and share our videos. Stay updated with information about upcoming events, solutions on my Instagram account at Comfort Eyitayo, as well as my Facebook account at Comfort Eyitayo. Till I come your way again, let's lead with trust, communicate with clarity, and achieve great results. Once again, I thank you all for joining us today. God bless you.